Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Disabled Girls Who Lift. So, as always, thank you for your support. Thank you for your love on Instagram. Thank you to our Patreons, all that great stuff. We have us two just chatting it up. This is Marcia sitting on Seminole Tribe land. I'm a Black woman wearing my little clear glasses, my big old over here headphones, and I'm in a pretty okay mood today. Just wanted to add that. There we go.
I love that. Midday, 3, 4 p.m. over at in your land.
I'm feeling pretty chill.
It's a good day. It's a Saturday.
Yeah.
It's Marybeth, y'all, from Northern California, sitting on Ohlone land, wearing a pink sports bra, black glasses, black headphones, black microphone, and a big thing on my face. Big old nostril piercing.
Good old septum ring.
Septum, thank you.
Septum ring, yes. It's the real one, not the faux piercing or what?
No,
you actually have the piercing?
It's real and it hurts.
Oh, that does not inspire confidence. I'll get a fake one.
No, it hurts temporarily. After 2 weeks, like you're fine. It's just having to change it out is really annoying. You know what I used? Because like you have so many oils on your fingers that you can't like grip on it. So you use a sock to twist the ball and change it out.
No, thank you. Never mind. You're making me think of my belly button piercing days back in high school. I'm good on that.
Throwback.
Never mind.
So what are we talking about today?
Anywho, yeah, I got distracted. So it's February, the month of love, the month of Black History Month, and whatever else they like to tack into this month. So
the shortest month
that they want to tack into of the year. So I have a question for you, Marybeth. I have a question. In the semblance of love, is it a reach to say that you have reached self-love at least because of lifting, or it started with lifting, or thanks to lifting?
Yeah.
I think your catalyst for self-love.
I think there's a lot that happened in that period after finding powerlifting and finding barbell weights, in that, like, being in a sport where your size doesn't really matter as much. The more that you kind of have on your body mass, the more that you can lift. There's a lot of positives there. And then also, like, being a disabled woman like powerlifter, there's a lot more positives in seeing like what I can do too with my body, as opposed to what I couldn't do, like in the kitchen or driving or all these careers that kind of had to throw out of my life. I could do so much in powerlifting. Okay. What about you?
I feel like I have two levels of that. Like pre-sickness me, when I was powerlifting, I definitely gained a level of confidence. I definitely gained, like, my body can do this, so I could do things kind of a feeling. But I don't know if I was ever loving. I don't know if I learned anything about self-love or self-compassion when I started. Once I got sick and I was lifting, then it became more of that journey. But I don't know. When I started, it was a lot more of trying to cut because everybody else was cutting. So it was the opposite for me. It was trying to be as small as possible. And then just really going on a cycle of trying to be as small as possible whenever a meet was coming up. And then having issues dealing with how to eat when the meets were over.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And then going back to like eating a surplus amount of food because you starved yourself for like a week or two for that cut, or how did that work?
It's not even starving. It's like, and obviously content warning, if you don't want to hear about food and like body image, skip it for now. But it was more of just like binging, right? Like I was like, I'm gonna restrict myself hardcore. I went hard, like macros, like, I had hilltop ice cream, like lean turkey, lean chicken breast, like all of it. So then if I wasn't cutting for a meet, then I would just literally, like, the next day eat 3-course meals of pizza, donuts, and ice cream, right? I would literally gain 30 pounds. Like, I'm not joking. And then I'd be like, oh, well, it's time for a meet again. Gotta get small. Then I go right back to
Yeah.
restricting.
And none of those are healthy, right? Like
I had both extremes.
you had both extremes. I could see that for powerlifting, definitely, especially with like, what is it? Like whiskey and deadlifts, donuts and deadlifts, and all these like wild things that we love in the sport, because fat is like love here. But also, what's also fun, I think we talked about this in our last interview, that like I feel like for me too, there are different levels. Like my first 2 years of powerlifting, where I thought that I was this super competitive powerlifter, I was going to make it to the Olympics. So what do? You do the excessive like things that wrestlers do and people in the Olympics do. They water cut,
Right.
carb load, and then carb cut, right? And
Yep,
so
definitely
you're
all of that.
fucking up your body. You're confusing your body into thinking all of these things, and then having to go back to that normal, yeah, is so drastic. But
Drastic,
then,
big time.
oh my god. So but then now looking back at it, what is this, 4 6 years later, Marcia, like
Oh,
you'd
like a
think back
decade.
into saying like, oh look, this is what I could do, but I would never do it again, because in hindsight, like, I feel better in my body, like what
So
I'm giving to my body.
I wonder if I do also wonder, because at the time when I was powerlifting, it really wasn't cool yet. Nobody was out there. It took maybe like 5 years into powerlifting to even have, more than 5 women show up to a competition, or even have somebody, even at nationals. I would go to the nationals and still
Mhm.
be the only one in my weight class. So, like, the conversation was solely becoming smaller. Like, that was
Mhm.
the only conversation. It's cutting. You want to be competitive? Well, everybody's cutting, so you have to cut too. And that was like kind of it. And I was strong off the jump, so everybody is like, yeah, you got to get this or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was the same person starting now, and there's powerlifting coaches cool on social media, right? And of course there's still aesthetics, and there's not, and there's everything in between, but there's a range.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much of the range, and there wasn't really anybody that's like, oh, don't worry about cutting, just go get strong.
Yeah. In strongman.
In powerlifting,
Oh, in
I'm
powerlift
still talking about
Oh,
powerlifting.
powerlifting after all of this like information came out. Also, this idea of the Wilks in competition,
Exactly. The
right?
smaller you are, the
And the
more
weight
you
classes.
lift
Yeah.
is
But
better.
now that I feel like maybe that's also just competing in general then. Because competing in, strongman, you'd kind of have to do the same thing, except the weight classes were higher, right? There aren't many small women in strongman.
Yeah. I mean, I switched to strongman once I was sick, because like training wise it was different. But I was still cutting at some level. But in general, it was a different vibe. Like, bigger is beefier is better, and like bigger, and people were trying to be heavyweights on purpose.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm gonna drink heavy cream protein shakes every night. Like,
Yeah.
so I went, it's like the extreme messaging of powerlifting of like, be as tiny and cut and lean and shredded as possible to lift the most weight, to like just
Yeah.
eat anything you can and be bigger.
Yeah. And
So,
now I feel like, but what's cool is like I feel like my brain personally has matured over time, in that if I were to ever compete again, mine is going to be about killing these numbers, like these personal records that I've wanted to like hit on the
right.
platform, because it's extreme weight to lift, not because I'm whatever body weight. And I feel like if you look at like the big, like, I don't know, the top lifters in powerlifting, they're fucking huge. Like the ones squatting 1,000 pounds, the ones squatting like 600,
Right.
500
Right.
pounds as a
Now
woman.
they are. Now they are,
Yeah.
but even some of
Yeah.
those folks weren't around when I was around.
Mm.
Um,
I know
yeah.
people are sprouting out of nowhere too. It's like,
Yeah, I feel like a lot. I mean, there's still people that are in there still getting it in. Kimberly Walford was like it when I was starting. She's still out there. Jennifer Thompson's still out there.
yeah.
But those are two super lean, muscular, like, oh, the weight that they weigh in looks like their weight, you know?
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Um,
That's true.
we
Charisse
didn't really
from
have,
Sisters of Powerlifting.
no, that's not my time.
Oh,
That's not
she's
my time.
after?
Yeah, that was not my time.
Well,
That's still, I
shit.
had
Okay,
Bonica
well,
Brown who was in and out. That was probably it for a
right.
heavyweight.
Right.
Still really not. So when I used to, when I showed up at Raw Nationals in, before they changed to the IPF weight classes, right? Because we didn't even have the standard weight classes. We used to have more and different levels than
Yeah.
IPF. IPF kind of made it shittier. But I used to show up 198 weight class and be the only one at the national USAPL powerlifting championships. Raw
At
Nationals.
championships.
Yes.
Well,
So
that's
this is
just
what I'm saying. Like
USAPL.
nobody was.
I think USAPL is always seen as the smaller, like natural fake Olympics.
USPA didn't even
Like,
like show up on Google when I was Googling at things back then.
what? Really? Well, maybe that was just in Florida. USPA was
Maybe.
like pretty big in
We
California. Yeah, it depends
have,
on the state.
yeah, I'm sure it depends on the state because we have other ones that I don't think are as big in other areas. So
Yeah.
but that was the only drug tested. The other ones that would pop up were not drug tested. They were like super triple ply kind of vibes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So nobody was there. Nobody was large and in charge
Yeah. Yeah.
whatsoever. And everybody was small. And everybody would always talk about, oh yeah, this is a body weight PR. And they would like, even though the number was less because they weighed less, and then they talk about their Wilks, and then
Oh
like
God.
that's what they
I'm
put on
so
the,
stressed just thinking
yeah,
about
that's
that.
what they put on the pedestal. Like,
Yeah.
so, or I matched the number that I was 10 pounds ago. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That was
And
the
it's
only
so
conversation.
much change, like drastic change. People think that 10 pounds isn't a lot, but it is,
Oh, geez.
male or female. Like,
It's a lot.
it's a lot. And then to drop from 10 down to another 15 and 20 just to get your name on the records for 3 weight classes. Like, who's going to see that? No one's going to know you when you go out
Nobody's
into the
gonna
street.
know. Yeah, I don't know. And I was
And then
really
it's
obsessed with my body. My body image wasn't even great either because I wanted to be shredded, and
Mhm.
I wanted to be shredded like everybody. You know, I wanted to have the hamstring cuts the way that everybody else had the hamstring cuts.
Yeah.
Even though at the time, if I went to Publix or I went to a fucking restaurant, someone would be like, "Oh my god, you lift!" Like, it's not like it's not apparent that I lift, but to me, I didn't look like Kimberly Walford. I
Mhm.
didn't look like Jen Thompson, so I needed to get more shredded.
It's like, yeah, the lean
Yeah,
muscle that sticks out when you're wearing a dress. It
yeah.
still does, like it most definitely does. But
I
it's more of
mean,
like, yeah.
I still look hefty, but I don't. And on top of that, you know, hypermobile. So like, I'm never gonna have those hamstring cuts. My knee is like all the way on Mars. So like, how am I gonna have the same kind of
I
cuts that
cannot
everybody has?
imagine. How the fuck do you squat? It's crazy.
I defy gravity
And
at all times.
like lifting things overhead is so, I'm so fearful of that, having, one hand and there are hooks for it. But,
Right.
for you, that's even scarier. Like, what if you black out midway?
Oh, well, that's why I never did great with log press.
But has it happened?
No. Well, not like fallout. I black out. Yeah, but I don't literally fall to the
Blacking out is
floor.
it's a lot.
Oh yeah,
It's a big deal.
that's and until I got to that, so I replaced like being obsessed as hard with going to strongman and like softened it. So I was on like the Diet Pepsi version of hating my body. Then I started getting sicker and sicker and I couldn't do things.
Mhm.
And then the things outside of my control got in the way of competitions. So that broke my brain of like always trying to be the strongest, best, and like compete, you know, that part
Yeah.
of it. Because there was like hurricanes, things got
Oh my God.
canceled. Then it was COVID finally. So then I don't feel like, I don't know. The way that I am lifting has changed as the way that I love myself has changed.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I wasn't lifting, if those things would have happened either. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That was a really
Well,
long
what's
way to say to my original question. I'm not sure.
I feel like the steps that we had to take to
Yeah.
get to our mindset now, I'm still thankful for. Like, if we didn't have, I feel like it was a shitty, like, first 3 years or so of
Right.
hating our body. Like, I feel like I'm at that point where I'm not happy with where I am body wise. Um, like, but there were still so many resources and educational things, like you said, like more coaches started coming in,
Yeah.
more ebooks that we can like learn
Yeah.
from.
I mean, as much as, we don't exist in a vacuum, as much as we like to think our original thoughts are our original thoughts, like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not entirely true. You can't, we don't, everything that we see, we're absorbing in some form or fashion. So,
And there's so much shitty information out there too.
tons of shitty information. So, like, when it comes to fitness, the general fitness is like what you should run, lose weight, get toned, but don't get bulky. Like, that was the first
Yeah.
phase. Then into powerlifting, like, yeah, get bulky, but not fat though. Stay shredded, eat clean, right? Like, that was my next phase. Then it was like strongman. Who cares? Be big. Okay, cool. But now here I am now. Like, I don't weigh myself anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that is
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
But regardless, like, we got to get our mind out of the gutter
Mhm.
for, like, there's self-love and then there's fat phobia, right? What yes, we want to love our body in whatever stage it's in, but then we also don't want to look at other people and make all these judgments about their health and about their disability and about what they can and can't do, right?
Well, yeah, we
And
internalize those things too. That's like getting in the way of self-love.
yeah. And what are we getting out of that?
Yeah, if you're working out, it must be for some bodily goal, right? Like, whether it is to lose weight, whether it's to get shredded, whether it's to get muscly, like,
Yeah.
it's the attachment of lifting must be for an image. So I think that's probably what got broken, even though I changed like what those words meant to me throughout the years. I think that's what's got broken, is that link of like lifting equals a certain image. I don't care about that
Mm,
anymore. Lifting is now equal to just moving because it's fucking fun.
yeah.
Yeah, like, it's not linked to an aesthetic, a look, anything, any brand. It's nothing.
And now, as I'm getting older and feeling like my joints cracking and everything changing with the season
Right.
changing, like when it's colder, my knees hurt and all these things. Like, I can't, I was trying to groom my dogs and I can't be on my knees for longer than 5 minutes, or like I would pass out, like my body would
Right.
just fall apart. And so moving in general in the gym like twice, 3 times a week is really like it's not my minimum and it's not my max. Like, I feel like I'm at a good in between.
Oh yeah, that's lovely. That's good.
But
But that's very true. Like, what you're saying is like, when you notice your body and how it moves and the things that feel good or don't feel good, and how lifting has helped with that, or lifting helps
yeah.
you appreciate that, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. All of those things. I
But I
think it's
feel like
pretty
we
good.
also mention a lot of like the individualistic parts of like loving ourselves and being fat phobic, but there are so many systematic issues that we always have to address. Our doctors,
Right. Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah. I
right?
mean, it's so I could tell you, for me, when it comes to my body and all of those stages I just described, right? When it was, I want to lose as much weight as possible, nobody ever talked about my body. It was fine. When it was, I'm trying to be shredded power lifter, nobody really talks about my body, but they would say, oh, if I was seeing somebody for a joint issue or a problem like that, oh, well, you're getting really muscly, maybe you should do stretching instead.
Mm,
Right, there was a judgment on like what it means if you're a muscly person, like, oh, you should do stretching instead. And then once I was like, okay, beefy strong man, it was like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you to your face, you don't look obese, but in your chart, I'm going to write you have a high BMI. So maybe that's why you're coming to me for problems. It's like
My
you can't win.
God.
You can't win.
Yeah.
Like you can't win.
What the fuck even is BMI? You know, like I hate those letters every time I hear it. And it's like on a poster in my gym bathroom too. Like, come check your BMI with us.
Oh
Come
yeah, yeah,
try
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
scale. And
That's the commercial gym calipers and the.
but
I
it's a
forgot about that.
powerlifting gym, you know,
Really? Oh,
like
that's weird.
yeah, there's a lot. It's just like, why does that have to equate to fitness? You know, why? And
Or health, right? Like
right.
quote unquote health. So I don't understand that whatsoever.
And
And you
it's
can't you
measured
can't win.
based off of, you know, the European white woman aesthetic.
Yeah, able-bodied, obviously, and looks a
Hmm.
certain way. It really makes no sense at all. And it's like you really can't win because if you're getting bigger, then people are gonna be like, oh, well, why are you getting bigger? If you're getting smaller, no matter what, they're congratulating you, even if you didn't do it on purpose. Even if you have some sickness, maybe you were blowing your brains out and you had diarrhea for 2 weeks, so people are gonna be like, you look great. Like,
Yeah.
like what the
I know
fuck?
that's not funny. It's not funny. It's too
Yeah.
fucking true and it's real and I hate it too with like chronic illnesses and terminal illnesses. Like
Oh,
somebody with
definitely.
fucking cancer, you're gonna congratulate them for losing 100 pounds of weight, but they're dying. Like, and this has happened to so many of my family members. Like, no, I don't look good and I don't feel good.
Yeah.
Stop with the stupid compliments.
Yeah. Please
They're
stop.
not.
Please stop. Please stop. Yeah. But I don't know what I don't know. I don't know why that's like, why can't people just stop commenting on bodies and on, the layperson? Like just stop
Yeah.
talking about people. Like, why is that the conversation? It's always a
Yeah, I've been
conversation with my family. What about, oh, go ahead.
oh,
Go ahead.
like
I
when you
hold
go
it. I
visit
got
and
it. No,
stuff.
no, I got it. What were you about to say?
No, no, no. Well, just like I really like this idea that I've been seeing on social media. I don't know if it's been played out like because I've got Kaiser as a PCP,
Mm-hmm.
where they have these cards when you check in, right? You're coming in for a general routine like physical or checking some ovarian issue, whatever it may be. There's little cards that you can give to them saying, please don't talk. Let's like, don't talk about my weight, my BMI. This is not what I came here for,
Oh yeah.
to kind of let them know from the get go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I
I
feel like
think
that needs to be implemented more.
I feel like that's a cool gesture, but I also don't like that that's placed on the patient. Like if that's going to be promoted, then that should just be the policy because now you're putting it on me to decide because I already have to decide how to perform. When I
Yeah.
meet a doctor, I have to decide, all right, do I dumb myself down to pretend I don't know anything or do I talk to them for real? I already have to make
Or wait,
decisions on how to talk to the doctor. So now I'm going
okay,
to have
that's
to
true.
now I have to decide whether or not I want to bring up my argument about don't talk about, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I think I got it wrong. I think it said, please don't weigh me.
No, I know what you're talking about. There's different one. I don't know
Right?
if that's a
Okay.
Kaiser sponsored one, but there's different things and messages. I've seen different ones.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
routine for a lot of places, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
If especially if that's not the issue that I'm coming to you with. But you're right, like it shouldn't be placed on the patient.
Yeah. And then I have to decide. Now it's gonna be like, oh great, here we go. Now they're gonna be like, oh, it's the girl that says don't weigh her. Everybody already has
Ugh,
whatever notions that
yeah.
affect my care, and I have to like move accordingly. So I might
Yeah.
not choose to do that. Really
It's just
might.
stressful for
Not.
so many people, you know? Like they're worried about a lot of health concerns and then to place fat phobia on top of that, to place ableism on top of that. Like doctors are not here to fix everything. They're here to, find healthier
Yeah,
alternatives,
they're
healthy
supposed to
routes
be
for you.
critical thinkers. Like, isn't that what you got student loan debt for? Not just to sell someone lose weight, eat healthier, see you in 6 months. Like, Didn't you go to school for this?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Wait, can we talk about that chart that you were given of what you were supposed to eat and what you weren't supposed to eat? Like you're supposed to avoid carbs, but then they told you to drink apple juice.
Yeah. So first of all, I've had now that's the second provider. The first provider I was telling you about that was talking shit about my BMI and my chart, but not to my face, was my gyno.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
What?
I have abnormal uterine bleeding is like the way they wrote it, but I bleed every 2 weeks. And I have been doing that at every size for the past 5 years. So remember, I was
Wow.
competing, right? So I've been 150, 160, 175, 180. I've been 200. I've been up and down. And I've had the problem no matter my weight. But that's what she put as the reason for why it's happening to me.
Wow.
That
But
shit
she
pissed me
never
off.
even talked about that with you?
No, not at all.
And you had to hear it from your PCP or read it off some charts or what?
Oh, I always get my notes after the fact.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's my personal thing. So that's I'm already annoyed. So this one with the diet is an ENT telling me what to do for my reflux. So she's like, oh, well, the best way to handle this is to just prevent it with the diet and lifestyle changes. And I'm like, whatever, lady, because I've had a GI years ago and we did all the GI things and we tried medications and everything. So it's not like this is something this is not my first rodeo. But this lady's like, well, no, just do this lifestyle change and whatever. I'm like, all right, lady. So she hands me out a fucking 4-page packet. And she gives me a nasal spray and she gives me some pills to take. And I'm reading this packet and it has stuff I've already done for my reflux, which is like sleep at an incline. Done. Don't eat acidic foods. Okay, no brainer. That makes sense, right? Okay, been doing that. Doesn't mean I avoid pizza or whatever. Even foods that relax your throat that people don't realize, like peppermint. I've been avoiding that. I don't eat that.
Oh, wow.
I cut mint out. I cut, things that relax your throat. I cut that out. So that's been my life already for years. So obviously those things aren't working for me. So I'm like, all right, let's see what else it says. Then it says it's like avoid high fat foods. I'm like, all right, maybe you need time to digest. Fine, whatever. Avoid high fat foods. Avoid dairy. Everybody hates dairy. That's always like the easy one, right?
Yeah.
Don't drink milk. Sure, bitch. Okay. Don't do dairy. Don't have carbs at dinner.
Oh,
Um,
specifically that time of day?
yeah. Okay. So then that's like words, words. And then after that's like specific tips. Chew almonds after every meal.
That was my face.
Eat an apple or drink apple juice when your symptoms are bothering you. uh
Apple juice.
Huh.
And then you had to call them about that, and they said
interesting.
sugar.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna test the waters. I'm gonna be like play petty, right? I was like, I sent a message like, oh, I'm thinking, do you have any nutritionists you like? Because this shit don't make no sense. For example, and I said those 2 examples. So yeah, I think I need a nutritionist. And she was like, no, I don't know anybody, but
What?
apples are fine. And just get apple juice without sugar.
Wow.
And almonds are okay too.
Can you get low-fat almonds too?
I
Do
guess.
those exist?
I'll get apple juice without sugar. I guess she wants me to get some GMO shit. I don't know.
Oh god.
What apples they made in the lab with no fructose.
No, apples naturally have sugar. Sorry, baby.
Yeah.
My dog.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And the fact that that's where I wanted to ask her too, if she had a nutritionist in mind. It's like,
and she said no.
The fact that people are out here telling you choices to make about what you eat and how your body looks and how your body affects you, but they don't know shit about fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, if that was truly your measure of health and truly your measure of whether or not somebody's going to have a problem, why wouldn't you give them a literal licensed person to talk to them about food, right? Like, if that's really the reason.
Yeah. And they make that such a big deal.
If that's really the reason, right? Like, instead of handing me some bullshit, overly worded, contradictory set of instructions. Why wouldn't you say, hey, I'm an ENT. I study the ear, nose, and throat, not food, like that. So why don't you go see a person that talks about food? Because I think food can help you, right? Like that makes sense to me. But never at any point does anyone do that. Nobody
And the
ever...
entire chart was about nutrition? A printed chart that was probably printed like in the 70s.
I mean, it's like I don't know if you get those handouts when you go to urgent care or whatever, and it's like how to wash your hands, you know, like it's like one of those like generic whoever who knows who makes it. It's not like it has citations at the bottom.
If it's all about nutrition, like who prepared that sheet?
Yeah, some random person. It honestly sounds no better than me going on Google and going on fucking Cosmo magazine and reading an article about diet changes for reflux. Like that's how it sounds. It
you should have been like, this is your opinion, right? Can I speak to a professional nutritionist? If this is really the reason, it's a bullshit reason, first of all.
It makes no sense to me. And that just boils it down to just people literally decide that, you know, if you're fat, if you're sick and you're fat, it's your fault. And when you break down the reasons for it's your fault, they have nothing. Because you're literally giving me diet advice that says don't eat fat, but eat fat at every meal.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense whatsoever. It's obscene what they're doing.
And not to mention, like, the reason for, you know, the reason for your health issues being like about your weight, I feel like gets placed on women a lot more than it gets placed on men. For our height, for everything.
I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I don't know the stats on that, but I would not be surprised. So it is very annoying in that regard when it comes to healthcare providers. When it comes to friends and family, I don't think it's any better for me either, because everybody always has a comment on bodies.
Yeah, what did you say about your family?
Yeah, I don't know what culture is that not in. I feel like that's everybody. I feel like that's a universal concept. But definitely, like, you comfortable with Haitians, like they have no problem lifting up your shirt and touching your belly fat and be like, wow, you're fat. Like,
shit.
Yeah.
No.
Or, you know,
that's
or
my
just
personal space.
Or just coming up to you, squeezing your muscles, like, wow, you go to the gym. Like, there's no personal space.
Yeah.
I know at some level people talking about your body is universal, but I feel like that might be where it ends.
Yeah.
When it comes to like peak immigrant culture, because it's like you respect your elders, but like the elders treat children, young people, like they own their bodies, you know? So they can just touch and do whatever they want, you know?
Touch and critique and give all their opinions about their body, their career, their partners.
Yeah.
Not to mention how racist it already is in a lot of immigrant families. Filipinos, Latinos. Very racist.
Yeah, you already have all those layers, plus you have to put on top of it, like, well, shit, what is my body supposed to look like? And it's so conflicting because you might have so like in high school I was super skinny. My thighs didn't touch. I played soccer, I played flag football. So in high school I had the opposite body image. Not opposite, but that was a different stage. It was the stage of like I wanted to have, you know, look like a video vixen. Like I didn't have a big butt, my thighs didn't touch. I didn't look like Beyonce, you know?
Yeah.
I was skinny as hell. And then my family would literally ask me all the time if I ate. Like if I went to my uncle's house or something, my mom would call and be like, "Did you eat dinner?" Like they accused me enough at that time. They accused me of having literally an eating disorder. Because I didn't fit what their standard of body was. But then when I went to college and got my freshman 15, 20, whatever, then I was too fat. So then I went through the stage of trying to get smaller, right? And then I was muscly, and it's like, oh, well, you're too muscly. Like you can't at all angles.
Yeah.
So you can't dodge it. Like I'm on Instagram. Shit, no. All right, I'm gonna go outside and talk to my family. Shit, no. All right, I'm gonna go to the doctor. Crap.
Yeah. No.
So how does a person find any pathway to loving themselves when all they get is fucking hate?
Yeah. When I was playing soccer, I kept feeling in high school and a little bit in college, I kept feeling like I wasn't big enough. And actually, I tried out for a club.
Yeah.
I ended up playing intramural instead, but I tried out for club soccer and it was really good, like super competitive in our area in Berkeley.
Yeah,
And
they usually are.
I was rejected because I wasn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and at that time, I was from my high school weight at 105. Here I am, 40 pounds heavier. But like, I want to go try out again and see if that's still the case.
It's just crazy. You really can't win because the look is defined by so many things.
Yeah.
And if you live in the middle of all these different things, you just lost.
And I'm thinking about like family, and I'm trying to think back to like dinners and Thanksgivings and Christmases with either my Filipino side or my like half Mexican family. Like food was always the center, right? There's no conversation without food. Like you're constantly eating, you're constantly being fed, or you're constantly cooking.
Right. That's like the immigrant love language.
Yeah, but there is still that criticism, like a little bit. I feel like not so much in the Mexican side, but in the Filipino side, there is.
You still had the people watching your plate.
There was still like fat phobia within the family, or you see them 2 years later or a year later, like, oh, you've gained some weight. You look better. Like, you look better back then.
It's always something.
Yeah, your cheeks look bigger. Like there's always and the little like specific body parts too.
Right.
But it's also like you're feeding me all of this fat. Like what do you expect? I'm eating nothing but fried
what
pork
you gave
with
me.
You. Maybe serve salad next time.
I ate what I gave, but even that
I won't eat that.
Even that is a whole thing, because even like in your cultural foods, I'm sure you don't have to eat everything fried, right? Like nobody has an entire culture of fried food. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to eating healthy, once you get to eating healthy, it's like, oh, we can't eat any of the food that came from our country. What do the white people eat?
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Like you can't, like it's so stupid.
But I mean, there's always an in between, like, and having a vegan partner too, and loving Filipino food. A majority of it is very, very like oily. Even in our breakfast, right? We have long silog, like these things where it's fried garlic rice, the longanisa sausage,
I love that
and
sausage.
like a fried egg. All of it's fried. Yeah. Heavy breakfast, like 10-pound plate.
Well, yeah, because you're supposed to eat that breakfast and then go hustle and bustle and work.
And then work out in the fields. Yeah.
That's what it's made.
And then skip your lunch and then eat your heavy dinner. Like
exactly.
Which is
if anything, we're like the OG creators of intermittent fasting.
God.
If you think about it.
12 hours of no eating, that stresses me out.
We don't have a breakfast food like that either, like brunch, pancakes and all that shit. That's not No, you eat leftover spaghetti for breakfast. You carb up, get all them oils and fats and energy for the day, right? So like that's bad. But then if a hiker needs to pack trail mix of nuts and whatever, like as a concept, it's the same concept.
Yeah,
you think about it.
And it's all about what's perceived too, and like in the ads by your doctor, by TV. But it's like you look at the nutrition facts, and this bag of trail mix has 10 grams of fat in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's chocolate covered everything. Like, I don't know if you did any better. You should just ate the fried eggs.
Yeah. You are happier.
Yeah, the fact you should just eat the fried. So yeah, that whole conversation is like a whole thing too. But more back to what we were talking about in terms of the body stuff. I think, well, not more in terms of, but including the body stuff and the food stuff, I think that's like the main idea is like white dudes need to stop deciding what's right.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. They need to
Because
stop.
they need to stop deciding what's right. Then
They
we can
need to
stop
stop.
turning every corner and being so damn conflicted.
And that's for everything. That's for the nutrition, the
Yeah.
diet, the exercise.
All of it. The diet, the exercise, the look, the if I decide to engage in fitness, it has no look. I'm doing it because I want to do it. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. Not to lose weight,
Yeah.
not to gain weight, not to get shredded, not to bulk up, nothing. I don't
Yeah.
have to look like anything. There's no look to an athlete. It just is.
It just is. And so if I can just bring it back around to your first question about
Right.
self-love and lifting, and now that we've talked about nutrition, like where do we stand, like with Valentine's Day and loving ourselves and all of this around the corner, and us, aging. That's a big word.
Right.
That's a big word for Elmo. Um
Almost still 3 years old.
from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Like how, like where do I go from here? Waking up in the morning
Right.
and then looking at the mirror, right?
Yeah.
One, obviously, like I haven't weighed myself either.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into this wedding, like I try on my dress, I go to the
Oh gosh. Yeah. That's
um
the whole thing.
yeah, like all of that. The person, what is it called? I keep wanting to say edit.
The dressmaker, the seamstress,
The seamstress,
seam
thank you. The
person.
seamstress like measured me after the first fitting, and she said you can't lose weight or you can't gain weight or else it's going to cost you, like
Yeah. No,
literally,
like
because I
practically
can't
speaking.
change this.
Yeah.
And so, that's in my head for the next 4 months, but also I don't think I would change all that much, but it's in my head. And
Right.
if it's
Right.
not a powerlifting meet, it's a wedding. Not necessarily to like look skinny or look thin and lose weight, because a lot of them ask those questions.
Yeah.
I just can't change. Period.
Right.
Can't
You're
change my
it's
figure.
calling attention to something that you were trying to not really put attention on.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not, to me it's not a big deal, but you think of somebody else, or if I was trying to lose weight from the beginning, like I don't know, it's just there's this constant pressure of putting on a face for an event or for
Yeah.
your family or for pictures or the social media, like,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
it's
It's always
always on
something.
women, like, ugh, that's like, how do we move forward from that?
I definitely think a lot of it, no matter your background, is kind of like understanding where the ideas come from, right? Because even body positivity has been co-opted, and although it's great in general, but like understanding where that comes from is like the image of the person, what they should look like, what they should eat, how their shape should look, all comes from like a white dude, right? And
Yeah.
at some point, we have to figure out which parts of that is something that we thought of in our brain, or something that a magazine told us, or something that, maybe we've had mothers that have been on diets their whole lives, right? Like told us, or what we see on a television show or whatever. Like being able to separate, like, oh, that's not me, that's the system. Like, I'm good on that.
Yeah. That's got to be a strong ass me to say that every freaking day if it's
Yeah.
all around you too.
And that
And
doesn't
then,
mean that you never get affected by it, but at least you understand, like, that's not me.
yeah.
I'm not here for that. I don't like that. I might struggle with it, but like,
Yeah.
just at your core, just being like, that's stupid,
And I think it's
changes a
powerful
lot.
enough too, if you have a network, if you have like a group of friends, sisters,
Right.
cousins, where you project it onto yourself, then they'll start recognizing like, oh, this isn't important.
Right.
Loving like yourself or
Right.
yourself or your body like is regardless of what it looks like.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like I said, I've gone through these changes, right? And you mentioned having people either to model for, model with, whatever. But there are people that still have that model of me, of like, you know, previous versions. I've already updated my systems. Like I'm on iOS 15, you feel me? Like, but they're still like, look, you know, these are my macros. And I'm like, I don't care about that anymore. You know, people are like, yeah, I got my body fat. I'm like, I don't care about that anymore. I'm just happy with what I can do.
Yeah.
So even that is interesting. I think just giving people space for the capacity to change is also a part of it.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I feel like that's a part of it for other people and for yourself. Because there's some things I thought 5 years ago loudly. Like, you know, put it on a billboard, you know, and that's what people still think of me. But that's not where I'm at anymore. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. So that can also be a bit jarring. It's like when you're trying to move on from something, but you can't pretend that never happened.
Yeah. I think what I enjoy more too, like I said, as I'm getting older, is I've had, you know, 30 plus years of experiencing 30 plus, turning 30.
Shut up.
Almost 30 years of experiencing experimenting with food and what foods feel like make my body
What it
feel
means
good
to
and
you
what
and everything.
what makes it shitty, what makes my body feel shitty the next day, or and I'm starting to feel that, I think, more now. And I think that's what's good, like me deciding what's healthy for my
Yeah.
body, and whether it's dairy or not, whether it's meat or not, whether it's like carbs, all types of carbs, or you can't avoid carbs are everywhere and they're delicious. But finding the right ones, you know, and experimenting with that rather than saying absolutely no, like none of this unless you're deathly allergic.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think
Yeah.
that's real. That's real. Yeah. Sounds great.
Yeah, I don't even know how to end this.
I guess we end with, you know, if disabled girls who lift, who listen to disabled girls who lift.
There you go.
How have you found, searched for, worked through self-love with lifting? And self-love means how you feel your body, how you look at your body, what you think about your body, all of those things.
General health.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a great episode that we can link from Therapy for Black Girls about body image that I actually just listened to last week. It's pretty relevant and I think has some good nuggets of info for somebody that is actually struggling with some of the things we flew by.
Oh, I want to listen to that. Link me first.
Link you first. But
other than that, like, we love you all.
That's it. Yeah.
Love you.
I love me first and then I love you. Then I love everyone else. That's the order. Disabled Girls out.